CJ Stroud and the Texans, they had a nice comeback win, survived 24-20 win. Texans fans, that's probably the best word to say it. They survived. Texans fans come into this one. The Jaguars are reeling. What an absolute nightmare on Monday Night Football against Buffalo, who buried them. People turned that off at halftime unless you were invested for fantasy. But to CJ Stroud is time and time again now. In terms of quarterbacks, you want to have the football in clutch time. He delivers. He does it all the time. He did it his rookie year. He's doing it now. And I don't really care what they've looked like. The Texans are 3-1. They have a big win against a division opponent. They're not playing their best football. But when you're not playing your best football and winning, you take it as long as you find ways to get better by middle of the season. Because otherwise, then you approach the fraud status. But it's ideal if you believe in the team to be playing really well at the end of the year. You're 3-1, stealing these games you should lose. Then that's when you have the ability to contend for a 1 seed and go a long way.
There's two ways of looking at it, right? One way of looking at it is you're stealing games you should lose. On the other hand, you're looking at CJ Stroud needs to put together end of game drives against the Colts, Bears, and Jaguars.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'm not saying that that's decisive or anything, but we will find out next week when Josh Allen and the Bills come to Texas, whether it's these close games against middling to bad teams are what's real, or whether it's getting blown out against the Vikings that's real.
They have, what's the upcoming schedule here? They have Buffalo, then they're at New England, at Green Bay, they host the Colts.
And at New York.
Those are the next 5 games. Between the Bills, the Jets, and the Packers, those are teams you're expecting to contend. No offense, Tommy, about the Colts. Maybe with Joe Flacco, maybe.
The Colts are 2-2 in the division. They're the only other team in the division with a win.
And they played them close. They played them close in week 1. But yeah, next week's the real test. How do you look against Buffalo? How do you look against the team that's probably played the best football in the NFL through 4 weeks so far? You're at home. This is your opportunity. Like, when we look back on the Texans in December, if they're actually a playoff threat, they could have a 1 seed chance if they win games like this. You get the tiebreaker here. That could determine, are you going to snowy Buffalo or are you hosting the game in your dome? That's where, these games do matter a lot, even though it's still early in the season. I'm excited to see. I want to see this Houston team come together, though. I was so excited to have Tank Dell and Diggs and Nico Collins running all over the field looking like animals. Joe Mixon playing well. And some injuries have gotten in the way, but I still feel like we haven't seen it click. So maybe a game like today is one that could help turn it around, where you essentially have a walk-off touchdown to win it.
Yeah, and I will say this, is Nico Collins might be, in fantasy, the number 1 wide receiver this year overall. He has had an absolute breakout season. People saw it coming, right? People like Matt Harmon from Reception Perception were just pounding the table that he was that guy. I'm not sure how many people listened. With CJ Stroud playing as good as he is and with Nico Collins playing as good as he is, I think there's a real argument that's the best QB wide receiver connection in the NFL right now. I think the only real competition for how it's been played is Sam Darnold and Justin Jefferson. Those guys have looked electric together. And they've been the backbone of the offense, right? Stephon Diggs is getting a fair number of touchdowns. Tank Dell, as you say, can step up when it's big. But Nico Collins, if he doesn't put up 150 yards and a touchdown today, they don't win the game.
This chat is getting a little dangerous here with a lot of our friends. We usually don't have much of our friends joining these chats, so it's starting to get a little bit dangerous here. But our guy Tommy says Stroud overperformed his rookie season. Texans will regress to 9-7 despite the talent. They haven't looked great. So there is a degree of, hey, who are you? Are you last year's Philly, who was 9-1 or whatever, 10-1, and masked all the mistakes and ultimately showed your true colors late in the year? Or are you that team that's, just kind of finding ways and will eventually explode at the end of the year?
It is just painful that you've played 3 one-score games against 3 of the bottom probably 10 teams in the NFL. And the only team you've played that's undisputably good, you lost 34-7.
Hey, thank you for saying that.
I'm not saying the Texans are bad, right? But I don't think we've seen a lot. Everybody's eager. CJ Stroud is 3rd in MVP odds. Everybody's eager to say they're a 1 seed contender because they're 3-1 and the Super Bowl could be on. What have we actually seen from this team that makes you so confident they're going to be good?
Dylan's right here when he says the penalties have been killing Houston. Let me see. I didn't see their penalty total today. Let me see.
88 yards, 11 penalties. And they came at the worst times.
Wait, I'm seeing 12 penalties.
Sorry, that was against the Vikings.
Yeah, I'm seeing 12 penalties for 93 yards, and they killed themselves against the Bears too. You got to tighten that up. You're not gonna get a 1 seed. You might not even win a division with that kind of performance there. And the Colts are what, 2-2? They're right behind you. So that is crazy that the Colts are 2-2 with how they've looked in their 2 losses. But yeah, you can't be having 12, 10, 8 penalties a game. It'll cost you at some point. And you know what game it'll cost you in? The divisional round when you play the Baltimore Ravens on the road and you get blown out and embarrassed. Like that, you have to tighten that up. So I do like the future for Houston. A lot of people are down on them, but I like the future for them this season.